The Charlotte Hornets are falling apart. 28 losses, 19 wins. Another season circling the drain while their franchise player watches his prime years disappear. LaMelo Ball's patience is running thin. His body language tells the story his mouth won't say. And across the league, his brother Lonzo is finally healthy again, back on the court, proving he can still play at an elite level. The possibility of the Ball brothers teaming up has never felt more real. LeVar Ball predicted it years ago. NBA insiders are whispering about it. Trade rumors are swirling. And for the first time since LaMelo got drafted, this isn't just speculation, it's a legitimate possibility. So here's what we're breaking down. Is LaMelo Ball actually leaving the Hornets to play with Lonzo? Stick around, because we're diving into the Hornets' dysfunction, Lonzo's comeback, the Ball family's master plan, the teams that could make it happen, and whether this reunion is really about to go down. The Charlotte Hornets are a disaster, and LaMelo Ball is stuck in the middle of it. Since drafting LaMelo 3rd overall in 2020, the Hornets have been one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the NBA. They've cycled through coaches, made questionable draft picks, overpaid mediocre veterans, and failed to build any winning culture. Most importantly, they've wasted years of their franchise players' development. The numbers don't lie. In LaMelo's 4 seasons with Charlotte, the team has made the playoffs exactly 0 times. Meanwhile, other young stars drafted around the same time, Anthony Edwards in Minnesota, Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana, they're leading playoff teams and building legitimate contenders. But it's not just about wins and losses. Charlotte has a reputation as a place where careers stagnate. Young players go there with potential and leave without reaching it. Veterans sign for money and regret it. The organization doesn't attract top-tier free agents because nobody believes they're serious about winning. Watch LaMelo's body language during games. The frustration when teammates miss open shots, the exasperation when defensive rotations break down, the resignation during blowout losses. This isn't the energetic, confident player we saw early in his career. This is a superstar realizing he might be trapped going nowhere. The injuries haven't helped. LaMelo's missed significant time dealing with ankle issues, wrist problems, and various setbacks. Some of that is bad luck, but it raises questions about Charlotte's medical staff and player management. Then there's the lack of star support. Miles Bridges' off-court legal issues derailed that partnership. Brandon Miller shows promise, but isn't ready to be a second star. The roster isn't close to competing. LaMelo looks around and sees a front office that hasn't shown the ability to make winning moves. The pressure is mounting from everywhere. Fans are frustrated. Media members question whether Charlotte can keep him. And most importantly, LaMelo is approaching contract extension decisions, which means he has leverage. He can force the Hornets' hand, either build a winner around me or trade me somewhere that will. All of this creates the perfect storm for LaMelo to want out. And when a star player wants out in the modern NBA, they usually find a way to leave. Now, let's talk about the other half of this equation, Lonzo Ball's incredible comeback. For 2 years, basketball fans wondered if we'd ever see Lonzo play again. After finding success with the Bulls, he suffered a devastating knee injury, requiring multiple surgeries and genuine uncertainty about whether his career was over. A torn meniscus that turned into complications. Surgeries that didn't heal right. At one point, Lonzo went over 2 full years without playing an NBA game. But Lonzo never gave up. He worked through grueling rehab, documented his progress on social media, and stayed mentally tough through setbacks that would have broken most players. And then, in 2024, he came back. After being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Lonzo returned, showing that his elite passing vision hadn't disappeared. His basketball IQ was still off the charts. His defensive instincts were intact. His three-point shooting was still reliable. He wasn't the same explosive athlete, but he'd adapted his game to be more cerebral, more efficient, more team-oriented. The Cavaliers have used him perfectly. He's a facilitator, a connector, a glue guy who makes everyone better. He runs pick and rolls with precision. He pushes pace in transition. And defensively, his length and anticipation still disrupt opposing offenses. Fans have been reminded why they fell in love with Lonzo. That court vision that sees passes 3 steps ahead. That unselfish mentality, that unique style that looks effortless, but is actually genius-level basketball understanding. And here's the thing, playing with LaMelo could take Lonzo's game to another level. Imagine 2 elite passers who think the game the same way, trained by the same father with the same philosophy, who have that built-in chemistry that only siblings have. Lonzo's comeback isn't just about one player returning, It's about opening the door to the Ball brothers finally playing together in the NBA. To understand why the Ball brothers reuniting feels inevitable to many people, you have to understand the Ball family dynamic and LeVar Ball's long-standing vision. LeVar has been predicting his sons would play together since before any of them were drafted. Go back and watch old interviews from 2017, 2018, 2019. He talked about it constantly. "My boys are going to change the game together," he'd say. At the time, people dismissed it as LeVar being LeVar, but he's been right about more than people want to admit. He said Lonzo would be a top pick. He said LaMelo would be a star. His vision for his sons has been surprisingly accurate, and LeVar's influence hasn't diminished. The Ball family operates as a unit. They've always been tight-knit, always moved together. This isn't a situation where the sons have cut off their father. The family still matters. LeVar still talks about the reunion. In recent interviews, he's hinted that the timing might finally be right. He's mentioned LaMelo's situation in Charlotte isn't ideal. He's celebrated Lonzo's comeback. He's kept the Ball brothers' reunion narrative alive, which keeps pressure on teams and keeps fans interested. Beyond LeVar, there's the broader Ball family legacy. LiAngelo never got his NBA chance, making the relationship between Lonzo and LaMelo even more important. They're carrying the family name, and there's something poetic about them doing it together, proving that the Ball way of basketball works at the highest level. The storyline sells itself. Ball brothers reunited. It's nostalgia, family, basketball brilliance, drama, everything the NBA loves. Whatever team lands both brothers would instantly become one of the most watched teams in the league. Jersey sales would skyrocket. Social media engagement would explode. Big Baller brand could have a genuine revival. LeVar understands all of this, and more importantly, Lonzo and LaMelo understand it too. The question isn't whether the reunion would be special. Everyone knows it would be. The question is whether the circumstances will align to make it actually happen. So let's get into the realistic scenarios. Which teams could actually pull off a Ball brothers reunion? The Los Angeles Lakers. The dream scenario for storylines. Bringing LaMelo back home to LA. Reuniting him with Lonzo in the most iconic franchise, playing in the biggest media market. The Lakers have the cash and desperation to find their next stars after LeBron. The problem: cap space and assets. They'd need a creative three-team deal or wait for free agency. The Chicago Bulls, Lonzo's old team. Chicago is stuck in mediocrity, not good enough to contend, not bad enough to tank. Trading for LaMelo could give them a true franchise centerpiece alongside Lonzo. Chicago could put together a competitive package. Draft picks, maybe Patrick Williams or Kobe White. Salary matching pieces. The fit makes sense. Two elite passers running up-tempo offense. The Orlando Magic. A dark horse that makes serious sense. Orlando has a young core with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. They have cap flexibility and draft capital. They desperately need a true point guard. Adding LaMelo to that young core would instantly make Orlando a playoff team. And if they could convince Lonzo to come via trade or free agency, you'd have the Ball brothers on a team with real upside. The San Antonio Spurs. Imagine Greg Popovich, Victor Wembanyama, and the Ball brothers. The Spurs need a point guard desperately. They have young assets and picks to trade, and pairing LaMelo with Wembanyama could create the most devastating pick-and-roll combination in NBA history. The Indiana Pacers. This might be the best basketball fit. Indiana plays the fastest pace in the NBA. The ball movement would be insane with both Ball brothers, and Indiana has assets to trade while selling LaMelo on being the centerpiece of an exciting young team that plays a style perfectly suited to his skills. Let's talk about what actually happens if the Ball brothers reunite. First, you're looking at potentially the fastest backcourt in NBA history. Both love to push pace, both excel in transition, both see the floor at an elite level. Opposing teams would have to match that pace or get destroyed. Every game would have highlight reel potential. The passing would be historically great. LaMelo is already one of the best passers in the NBA. Lonzo's vision is elite. Together, they'd create a passing ecosystem where defenses can't focus on one guy, where the ball movement would be hypnotic. Social media would absolutely explode. Every game would trend. Every great pass would go viral. They're already two of the most marketable players in the league. Together, they'd be a content creation machine. Big Baller brand would have a genuine revival. The brand became a meme, but if both brothers are succeeding on the same team, suddenly the whole Ball family vision looks prophetic instead of delusional. For the franchise that lands them, the value increase would be immediate. Ticket sales would surge. Jersey sales would break records. National TV games guaranteed. Free agents would be more interested. The entire organizational trajectory would shift upward. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does a LaMelo trade actually happen? Charlotte would demand a king's ransom. We're talking about a 23-year-old franchise player, a potential all-NBA guard. The asking price would be massive. Multiple first-round picks, probably unprotected, young players with star potential, and salary-matching pieces. A realistic package might look like 3 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, a young player like Franz Wagner or Patrick Williams, and matching salary contracts. That's franchise-altering assets. But for LaMelo, teams would pay it. The salary cap implications matter. LaMelo is making significant money. Any team trading for him needs to match salary, which means sending out $30+ million in contracts. That limits which teams can realistically make moves. Lonzo's situation is different. His contract with Cleveland is around $20 million annually, more movable. If a team is acquiring LaMelo and wants Lonzo too, they'd need to work out a separate deal with Cleveland or wait for free agency. LaMelo has real power here. The modern NBA allows stars to force their way out. If LaMelo genuinely wants out and makes it public, Charlotte's options become limited. They can accommodate him and get assets, or play hardball and risk him leaving for nothing. So here's the real question. Is this actually going to happen? The honest answer, it's complicated, but more possible than ever before. The logic supports it. LaMelo is stuck in a bad situation. Charlotte shows no signs of building a contender. His timeline for competing is now. Meanwhile, Lonzo has proven he's healthy and can contribute to winning basketball. The evidence is circumstantial but growing. LaMelo's body language has changed. NBA insiders report his camp is monitoring the situation closely. Trade rumors involving LaMelo pop up more frequently. Analyst opinions are split. Some believe LaMelo will give Charlotte one more year. Others think he's already mentally checked out and will force a trade within the year. Most agree that if Charlotte misses the playoffs again next season, LaMelo requesting a trade becomes very likely. LaMelo's own comments have been carefully diplomatic. He says the right things about Charlotte, about wanting to win there. But read between the lines. He's not expressing deep loyalty or long-term commitment. He's keeping his options open. Lonzo's health is the wild card. If he stays healthy and continues playing well, the reunion becomes more attractive. If he has setbacks, the whole scenario loses momentum. Right now, he looks good, but knee injuries can be unpredictable. Here's the balanced truth. It's not confirmed. No trade demands have been made public. No deals are imminent. But the door is open in a way it's never been before. The circumstances are aligning. The motivations exist. And for the first time, the Ball brothers reuniting feels less like a fantasy and more like a genuine possibility. So, do you think LaMelo Ball will leave the Hornets to play with Lonzo? And if they reunited, what team should they join? This is one of the most fascinating storylines heading into the next NBA season. We've got a franchise player stuck in basketball purgatory, a brother who's back from the brink, a family that's always believed in the vision, and a league that would eat up the Ball brothers reunion storyline. Drop your predictions in the comments. Tell me which team makes the most sense. Tell me if you think Charlotte can convince LaMelo to stay. Tell me if you think this is all media hype or legitimate possibility. Whether this happens next month, next year, or never, the fact that we're even seriously discussing it shows how much has changed. LaMelo is a legitimate superstar. Lonzo is back and contributing. And the possibility that created big baller brand hype in the first place, that these brothers could change basketball together, it's alive again. If you want more NBA analysis and real talk about where the league is heading, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Because stories like this don't come around often. The Ball brothers reunion. It's not confirmed, but for the first time, it actually feels possible. And that alone is enough to keep the entire basketball world watching.